What did I just watch? G'day Whovians and welcome to the final episode of Who Review for Doctor Who Series 12. Now this episode was big. There is a lot to talk about in this episode. It was very intense. So I'm going to jump straight into it. But just before I do, I have a kind of theory about Jo Martin's Doctor. But I'm going to save my theory to the end of the video. So if you want to hear it, you have to watch the review first. Or you could just skip ahead, but do the decent thing and watch my review. So the Timeless Children. This was, like I said, a very intense episode. The Timeless Child was revealed, we got answers about that, and I'm going to get into that in just a second in the review, but first I'm going to talk about some of the things that I liked throughout the episode. An action-packed opening with the Cybermen, I liked that, that was quite cool. The Doctor's face looking up at Gallifrey was, that was such a sad moment. You could see the heartbreak in her eyes. And I think that's what made it really sad, that she saved her home planet in 2013 and now she has once again had it taken away from her. It was literally 3 minutes into the episode and I already loved Sacha Dhawan's Master. The idea of the survivors like hiding themselves inside Cybermen's suits, to me, was very strange. I quite liked that we got to really dive into the remains of Gallifrey. It was dark, it was creepy, but it was really great. And I just could not get over Sacha Dhawan as the Master. He is so good. I really hope that this episode wasn't the end for his Master. I really hope we see more of him. And same with these new Cybermen. These new Cybermen were great. The look, the fear of them, the anger of them, like how good they were. Chibnall's good at writing Cybermen, I'll give him that. Graham's little speech to Yaz was really, really sweet and I liked that. And this was one of those moments where it made me realise how much I love Graham as a character. I think he's amazing. We also got a little bit more history of Gallifrey, which I rather liked. I liked Ryan's little battle with the Cybermen. That was a really cool scene. This episode really gave all companions something to do, which was good. And hey, the Master has got serious guts shrinking the cyber leader, but I do feel like that this was a real waste of such a really cool and gruesome Cyberman. This scene of Jodie and Sacha Dhawan on the mountaintop was really, really great. Their chemistry is brilliant and I think they work really well together. They bounce off each other really well. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I really like the idea of the Cyber Time Lords. I thought this was the Master gone full insane, but in a really freaking cool way. The Cybermen regenerating, like how has no one thought of this before? I loved that little Doctor Who history sequence. That was really nostalgic and it was great. This episode was also really emotional. The idea of the Doctor having to blow up her home planet again, sort of, was really sad. The final standoff with the Doctor and the Master was also really epic. I really enjoyed that. So the Master was blown up with Gallifrey. Will he come back? Probably. He always finds a way. And that cliffhanger. Whoa, that was a good cliffhanger. Now I'm going to chat just a little bit about the Timeless Child and the reveal of who the Timeless Child is. So basically, the Time Lords stole the power of regeneration. And so the child is the Doctor. Basically the Doctor's not a Time Lord. I don't really like this idea. For me, this has ruined a little bit of Doctor Who history. This also revealed that there were many incarnations before Hartnell. Again, I don't like this idea. So 3 things that I liked about this week's episode. Number 1, Sacha Dhawan's master. I loved him in Spyfall, but in this story he seemed a lot more stronger, a lot more evil, and he was brilliant, and I really hope we see his master again. Number 2, the Cybermen. Like last week, I loved the Cybermen, the look, the evilness, the ferociousness. I'm also going to mention the Cyber Time Lords in this as well. I love the idea of that idea of the Cyber Time Lords. That was really cool. And number 3, the cliffhanger. The Judoon have locked her up. I have no idea why. We have no idea how the Doctor's going to escape from that. But that was a damn good cliffhanger. And 3 things I didn't like about this week's episode. I'm not gonna lie, there's only 2. Number 1, the Timeless Child. Like I mentioned before, this has ruined a little bit of Who history for me. And I'm not happy with the idea of the Doctor being the... I don't mind the Doctor being the Timeless Child. I kind of saw that coming at the start of the episode, but the idea that she's not Time Lord, I don't like that. And number 2, No Jo. We saw her as the Doctor envisioned her basically, and she kind of helped the Doctor, but I'm disappointed. Honestly, I didn't like her in Fugitive of the Judoon, but I'm kind of disappointed we didn't see her in this episode a lot more. So with that, I give you my rating for this week's episode, and so for this week, I rate this episode an 8 out of 10. It wasn't the best, but it was a great ending for the series, I think. Look, there's only a few things I didn't like about this episode, but in my opinion, I think this was a decent series finale. I was also expecting one of the TARDIS team to die though, they didn't. And with this upcoming Dalek special, I think that's when we'll lose possibly all 3 of them. So quickly now onto my little theory about Jo Martin's Doctor. So, what if Jo Martin's Doctor was actually in the future, so a Doctor after Jodie's? In Fugitive of the Judoon, we see Jo Martin's Doctor being the fugitive that the Judoon are looking for. So perhaps the Doctor breaks, now that the Doctor's been taken by the Judoon and locked up, what if the Doctor breaks out of the prison and is now on the run over a couple of incarnations? So we see the Judoon finally catch up with Jo Martin's Doctor in Fugitive of the Judoon. This sounds so very confusing, so if you understand it, thank you. But it also got me thinking that the Judoon actually got the wrong Doctor, and they're actually supposed to lock up Jo Martin's Doctor. It's a lot to think about, but who knows. So what did you think of the Series 12 finale? Let me know all your opinions in the comments down below. And so that is it for Who Review for Series 12. I just want to thank you all for tuning in. I haven't done episode reviews for a very long time, so it was great to be able to sit down and chat about the Doctor Who episodes, and I really enjoyed it. So I can tell you now, Who Review is coming back for the Dalek special later this year and for Series 13. But thank you all so much for watching over the last 10 weeks. Who Review might be finished, but my Doctor Who podcast series starts this Sunday right here on my channel. I'm very excited for this. I've put a lot of hard work into this. It is me discussing anything and everything Doctor Who, so don't miss it. It starts this Sunday right here on my channel. Don't forget, I have a new main channel video every Friday, so I'll still see you guys for new videos every week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye everyone.